Hey, Hope here with another video for you today. This time we're going over Phase 2 of the Omega Protocol, male and female. After Omega Spider dies, you have 4 seconds, and then Omega Male and Omega Female spawn. They will instantly cast Firewall. Firewall marks the 4 closest player to each male or female with a debuff that prevents them from damaging the other boss. We use the same light parties from the previous phase, and if you have any cleave, get it off fast. Most jobs only get 2 GCDs. It's worth noting if you have buffs like Change Stratagem, you may want to adjust your parties to get the most out of them. There is no real requirement for how you split the group, as long as you are able to understand it and have a priority that we will discuss soon. Solar Ray. This is a tank buster from each boss. If you saved Invulns and Pantocrator, you can have one tank eat both tank busters with a single Invuln. Otherwise, you will need to mitigate. Next is Party Synergy. Some debuffs go out and some other things happen, but we'll come back to this. For now, both of them disappear and then 4 clones appear. This is a very fast-paced mechanic, so you will need to identify things quickly. There will be 3 clones in a line and 1 to the side. We are focused on the outer 2 that are in line. One will be female and the other male. We are checking for 2 things. On the female, does she have her skates or just her staff? On the male, we are checking for sword or shield. The clones will execute different AoEs based on what they have out, so let's review each. If the female has her staff, she will do a plus-shaped AoE. If she has her skates, she will cleave the sides. For the male, if he has his sword, he will do a point-blank AoE. If he has his shield, then he will cleave everything except under him. Here are some of the combos the 2 can do. I advise moving to the middle of the arena and panning your camera until you can see both. Then I check the male and either move towards him or away. After, I check the female and stay or move to the side. With our marker set up, we can always reference the markers for how wide the cleaves are. You can also reference the circles on the ground. This all happens in about 4 seconds, so you'll want to check a few VODs and try to see how quickly you can recognize the combination. Now let's rewind to all the stuff I told you not to worry about from Party Synergy, because it's about to be relevant. A few things happen all at once. Every player receives a PlayStation mark, remote or mid glitch, and an eye spawns outside the arena. The eye will be cleaving the center of the arena in a line in front of itself. At the same time, every player is hit with a personal AoE. Remote glitch leaves you with a vuln unless you are basically max distance on the arena from your partner, the person with the same mark as you. Mid glitch is slightly less distance, but well over half the arena. The most important thing though is the PlayStation marks. We will need 1 of each symbol in the relative east party and 1 of each symbol in the relative west party to resolve the glitch debuffs so the AoEs don't kill us. To make this happen, have every light party line up south to north. Starting from the south, have tanks, melee, ranged, healer. This keeps the same priorities as before. Instead of thinking of it as flexing, just look at your party while facing the boss. If you're in the right group, for example, and you're the rightmost of your symbol, you go right. If you're leftmost, you go left. The same is true for the left group. If you're the leftmost symbol, you go left. If you're the rightmost, you go right. You need to remember this information later through the mechanic we just did and apply it after. The last thing we need to cover is how you spread on your side. The easiest way is to assign static spots for each symbol. Starting from north, we do circle, X, triangle, square. The exact positions are roughly between waymarks relative to the cleave, like so. For mid-glitch, both sides will do the same lineup, roughly in line with the waymarks relative to the cleave. For remote glitch, one side will have to have the reverse order, so square, triangle, X, circle. This is because being directly across in parallel is not enough distance. Now that we know how to split, how to flex, and why we're splitting, let's go over an example. I get my PlayStation mark and look at my party. I'm right group. I'm the rightmost of my symbol, so I'm right. I'm circle, so I'm first spot. It's remote, and I'm right, so I'm actually 4th spot. Now I lock this information in my brain. Right, 4th, wall. Now we do the male and female dodge. Once in the safe spot, I take a moment to identify the eye as relative north. I run out to my spot, right, fourth, and wall. Success! Now we can do the final part of the mechanic. Let's take a minute to go over what's about to happen. There will be one female in the center of the arena doing a knockback. There are also 5 total clones at cardinals or intercardinals doing point blank AoEs. This leaves 3 spots safe, all 90 degrees apart. And 2 random players will get stack markers. Our goal is to have 2 parties of 4 and resolve the mid or remote glitch again. We're already split into 2 parties of 4. How about that? The only hiccup is sometimes one side will get 2 stack markers. The way to resolve this is having the lower stack switch sides, as well as the person they are tethered to. The last thing to consider is if you have remote or mid glitch. For remote, the parties need to be across from each other, and if you have mid, one party needs to get knocked relative south. You can always have one party anchor. Now let's continue our example. There's no double stack, so no swaps. We identify relative north as 4. It's remote, so we are directly across. If it had been mid, the flexing party would go relative south. And congrats, we're done with the PlayStation part of the phase. Next is limitless synergy. At first it may seem like a lot is going on, but there is very little you have to actually do. First thing to notice is your packet filters are removed. You are given a couple GCDs to cleave both bosses. It's important to note that aggro is swapped on tanks here, as the female is actually the previous male. The female teleports and begins casting Laser Shower, which is Enrage, and the male uses his wings to make her invulnerable. At the edge of the arena, 2 clones spawn and give 2 tethers that will do extremely wide cones on the 2 tethered players. Have tanks take these to the edge of the arena and bait them clockwise from the clone at the edge of the wall. Then one clone casts Optimized Sagittarius Arrow, which is a wide line AoE baited on a random player. To resolve this, you can simply stand between south and southwest. Have the tanks stay with you until the male puts his shield down. If the line AoE is blocking them, they can continue past it to bait their cleave. As the party, when you dodge the line AoE, stay in the male's hitbox. This will always be safe in any configuration. Sometimes your safe spot will be small, but it's always manageable. After all of this resolves, 3 players are marked with Meteor, and a clone begins casting Beyond Defense. This will have the clone dash to one of the 2 closest players. Shortly after, it will cast Pile Pitch, a stack AoE, again on one of the 2 closest players. Have everyone but the tanks stacked direct center of the boss. The tanks will stand directly in front of the party relative to the clone on the edge with a shield, spaced enough to not overlap when he charges. The tank who gets hit will run around the boss and behind the party. The other tank will move in to stack with the party. The following pile pitch will be a 7-man stack and do almost no damage itself. Between the pile pitch and all 3 meteors, the party takes a pretty heavy amount of damage and you can't use any targeted mitigation. You will likely use all or almost all of your non-targeted mitigation and apply heavy shields, but these cooldowns will be back before you need them, so don't worry. Also, make sure to apply any mitigation longer than 10 seconds after the Beyond Defense charge so it can cover Cosmo Memory, which is another heavy hitting raid wide that follows shortly after. Make sure you heal between. From here there's no more mechanics, it's simply a straight burn phase. You kill the male and then you kill the female. The DPS check for this phase can be pretty tight, and as you get further in the fight, a lot of groups are advising you use your 1-minute cooldowns, but you save your 2 minutes for the next phase. However, if you're progging phase 3, you need to use your cooldowns if there's even a small chance you won't pass the DPS check. You can't prog if you enrage. That's all for this phase. Make sure you subscribe and give the video a like if you want to see more, and I'll see you soon with phase 3.